Hey everyone, I am Rodev Creator and welcome to my channel. This is my second video on the channel and my first Roblox Studio video, series video. It's going to be posted on the Roblox Studio Series, playlist, which will most likely not be in a playlist until later. But, in today's video, we're going to be learning how to do a leaderstat system with with a data stores system that goes along with the leader stats. So pretty much, if we have our leader stats, it's going to display in our player list, which should be over here. And once the player gets a certain amount of coins or cash or something, the data store script will come into place. So once the player leaves and joins back, the coins that they previously got in the last server, so let's say they got like 100 coins, the script will save the 100 coins until the player joins, and then the player can then uh, get more coins and etc until the script breaks. And I don't think the script is gonna break anytime soon. So the first thing you want to do is you want to open up your Roblox game, and they're gonna want to open up Explore and Properties if you have not already. And to do that, you're gonna find View, which is up in your top like bar thingy with all your things to use for like building and UIs and plugins and pretty much anything and everything. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to find server script service and explore, and we're going to insert a script. We're going to name this script leaderstats or ls, and this is going to be our leaderstat thing. And the first thing we want to do for this script is we're going to say game.players.player added connect function, remove that last bracket, add two new brackets, and place player or PLR. Pretty much what this is going to do is once the player joins, the rest of the script will function automatically. And so uh, let's go ahead and skip like two lines to have a space between this line and the end. And we're going to say local leader stats equals instance dot new, add two brackets, quotation marks, and type in folder. Next, we're going to say leader stats dot name equals leader stats, and our leader stats dot parent is going to be our player. Pretty much what these three lines of code do is this is defining what the thing is. Whoops, sorry. Pretty much this is defining what is happening in the script and what we are talking about, and pretty much this will be put into players, so the player will have their own leader stat which they can use to get the coins and currency and stuff like that. And here is the name for the leader stats, and our parent is going to be player because the leader stat is going to be inserted into the player. So if the leader stat is inside the player, they're able to collect coins and stuff like that. So next we're going to say local cash, which is going to be our currency. But if you're going to name your currency to something else, then go right ahead. You don't have to copy me with this part, but you're going to have to copy the name, parent value, blah blah, all that equals instance dot new. And this time, instead of folder, we're going to have it as int value. And make sure you have those two brackets and the quotation marks. Skip a line and you're going to say cash dot name equals cash dot parent. Well, let's do value. I mean, then again, it doesn't matter which order it's in, as long as you have these three. And then cash dot parent equals leader stats. And then if I recommend only doing like two to three of these specific like leader stats. It doesn't matter the name. The reason why I suggest only putting like 2 or 3 of these is because it then starts to overlap on the player list and it just gets annoying after a while. But let's go ahead and add another one, and we'll call this one points. Local points equals instance dot new, and like we did in the one up here, we're gonna do int value with the brackets, quotation marks, and then add int value. Go ahead and skip a line, and we'll say points dot name equals points. Skip a line and say points dot value equals 0, and then skip one more line and then say points dot parent equals leaderstats. So pretty much what this script does is we're defining our leader stats, we're defining when the player joins, we're defining our first currency, and we're defining our second currency leader stat. So there you go. That's what it does. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to insert another script into service script service, and we're going to call this data store. And for this script, we're going to remove print hello world, and we're going to say local ds, which is going to be short for data store for this case. And we're going to say equals game, colon get service, get service, data store service, colon get data store, and then we're going to say save data. So there we go. So this is pretty much defining our data store. Next, we're going to say game.players, which is our player joining, player added. Player added means when the player joins, and player removing means when the player leaves the game. Dot added, colon connect, function. Then we're going to add 2 new brackets, add player there or PLR, remove that last bracket, and then go ahead and skip a line. We're now going to say wait. If I can spell it correctly, thank you. And we're going to start off by doing our PLR key, which pretty much means the game will then find the player's profile ID, and it'll save it into the game. And once the player joins back, the game will then use the player ID, and it'll pretty much look it up and then find what the values of their currency was, and then it will give it to them. So by doing that, we're going to say PLR local PLR key equals quotation marks ID underscore. After that, it's dot dot, and then player dot user ID. We're going to skip a line. We're going to say local save one equals player dot leaderstats dot value. Oh, not value. Sorry. And if you hear my dog in the background, please ignore that. He's barking because he has separation anxiety from my uncle. Anyways, we're gonna say leaderstats.cache, not .value. We'll say .value later on, but not now. Next, we're gonna say a local save2 equals player leaderstats points, and it doesn't matter what order it's in. Like I'm only doing it cache and points. Because it's cache and points right here. I mean, technically, you could just do points and cache and have this cache and points. Doesn't matter, as long as it's in there. Because if it's not in there, it's not gonna save. Well, technically, if you only have your 1 in there and you have 2 leader stat currencies, then it's only gonna save the one that you already put in there. It's not gonna save the other one. It's not like an automatic thing. So you're going to have to add both of your currencies right here so the game knows to save it. So we're going to say local get saved equals ds, which is our data store name, colon get async, and then PLR key. Pretty much what this does is it's going to, this pretty much means the DS is pretty much telling the game to save the player's currency amount, and again the PLR key is player.user ID. So the get async is pretty much saying save the game for the player. So next we're gonna say if get saved, then we're gonna skip another line and we'll say save one dot value equals get saved, and then we're gonna have these square brackets and we're gonna say 1. Next we're gonna say save 2 dot value equals get saved, those square brackets, and then add a 2. Pretty much what this does is it's going to find the value of our first save, which of course our first save is leaderstats.cache, and our second save is leaderstats.points. So therefore it's going to save both the values of cache and points into a save file, which our save file is get saved. So next we're going to drop a line, we're going to say else, and next we're going to say local number for saving equals, and then we're going to have those squiggly brackets, and we're going to say save 1 dot value, and then add a comma, and then say save 2 dot value. And then we're going to drop another line, and we're going to say ds colon get async. Sorry. Async. Holy, my typing. And then we're going to add just normal brackets, and we're going to say PLR key, comma, and then number for saving. So pretty much what this is going to do is the game will find out if it did, because if the game didn't save or it hasn't saved yet, it's going to find the leader stats, which is up here in the save file, and it's going to save the values, so which our values are up here and in our leader stats. And pretty much if it fails to save, it'll repeat this specific function. So the player's stats are saved for when they come back to playing your game. So we're gonna, oh my god, so we're gonna drop another few lines, and we're gonna say game.players dot PLR removing, or player removing, pretty much like up here. Again, when I was saying that player.adding means the players joining, players.player.removing means when the player leaves the game. And of course, we're gonna put our function or connect function and then player inside these two brackets, and without quotation marks like in here. We're gonna drop another line, and we're gonna say ds colon set async. So pretty much it's going to make sure that the values are all correct, and if it does, it's going to recheck again, and it's going to stay saved until the player joins back. So we're going to add two like normal brackets. We're going to add quotation marks, and we're going to say ID dot player dot user ID. So pretty much kind of like up here, just without the local PLR key. And then we're going to add a comma, and then we're going to add those squiggly lines. We're going to say player.leaderstats.cache.value, comma, player.leaderstats, I can type that correctly, .points, .value. So there we go. Here is our entire data store script. So again, we're defining our data store up here. We're defining when the player joins, and if the player joins, it'll give the player the leader stack stuff, which is right here, and it's going to find the user ID of the player, and it's going to give the player the currency leader stat thingies, and then get saved pretty much means it's going to automatically save the player's leader stats, the user ID stats, because user ID is because if the player happens to change their username or display name, it's gonna confuse the game, and then it's just not gonna save the stuff for them. So that's why we use user ID, because the user ID doesn't change unless the player makes a new account and uses that account. And then pretty much this is our save file for save1.value, which is save1, which pretty much save1.value means save1.player.leaderstats.cache, and it's going to be put into a save file, which is going to be inside of players, like I mentioned earlier. And then uh, save2 is pretty much the same thing, just with points. Our else statement that's right here pretty much means if the game hasn't automatically saved the player's leader stats yet, it's going to save it, and if it happens to fail, it's just going to redo this function here. And then once we're then defining the player leaving, and once the player leaves, it's going to set the current async, which is the current value of the leader stats the player had. And then this is our PLR key statement, which is the player's user ID. And then after it finds the user ID of the player, it's going to find out what their stats were, and it's going to save it. So there you go. That's how we do it. That's how it works. So you can close out these two scripts, and before we do anything for like testing, we got to make sure that we turn on some settings in our game settings. By doing that, you're going to go back to your home menu over here on the top, and you're going to find game settings. Then you're going to go down to security and then enable API services. I enable all three of these because this is good for plugins. This is good for leader stats. This is good for like uh, things outside of the game that are still technically a game pass, or like developer products. And this is pretty much the player will be able to get teleported to a new game if on hit or on click or something like that. So there you go. Just go ahead and enable API services. You can go ahead and enable and all the other two, but I just prefer to only enable API services if you're only doing the leader stats and data store. But like I said earlier, or like not too long ago, these two are good for making games too. And so is this if you're making multiple. So there you go. Now we can play. We're going to see if there's any sort of errors, and if there isn't, we're good. Okay, so it looks like we're good. And I did make a video for this, but I discarded the thing. And so let's go ahead and add or open console. And we're going to click server, and then we're going to say game players, and then type in your username, which mine is Rodev creator leader stats, and then go ahead and type in whatever currency you want it to be. So for this case, I'm just going to do cash. I'm going to add value, and we're going to put an equal sign, and then whatever you want your amount to be. So I'm going to add another 250 to make it 500. Enter in that. Doesn't look like it worked. There's no error in the thing. So let's try points, because maybe it's just airing up since it's Roblox Studio. But it might have not changed because it can be slow sometimes. But if we rejoin, it should stay the same. Because originally, when I did the first version of the video, I did 250, and of course it saves. So there you go. That's evidence that it works. So, anyways, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope you learned something out of it. And if you did, make sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below if this helped you. Uh, and if there's any bugs, errors, or any sort of requests that is something important to you and you want to put it and you want to let me know about it, then go ahead and leave them in the comments. If it's errors, then I'll respond to you as soon as I possibly can, and if I can't, I'm very sorry. Look up other tutorials if you need to. And if it's for requests, I'll look too, and if I don't respond, then I'll most likely make it in some future video, or I may not respond because I just have other things to do. So, again, if you enjoyed today's video and you learned something out of it, then good for you. But anyways, I am Rodev, and this is going to be the conclusion of my first Roblox Studio video. Uh, in the next video, I'm going to be making a GUI display, which will then display our currency, which is up here, which it's not that hard to script. It's pretty simple. But stay tuned for that by turning on post notifications after subscribing. But anyways, I am Rodev, and this is concluding my first Roblox Studio video on my channel. Have a good day, everyone, and I'll see you again soon.